Hey, welcome to the third module of Wealth Builders Bootcamp. Today we're talking about Wealth OS. OS stands for Operational System, and we all know operational systems from our phones, our computers. It's pretty much the software running our technical devices. And as our technical devices have like underlying software, so do we as humans. It's the software within us in our subconscious level that's driving all our actions and reactions. And it's very powerful to look at this. And when it comes to the area of finance, we look at Wealth OS, which is the operating system driving how we actually think about money, the financial decisions we make, how we manage money, what kind of money beliefs we have. It's all embedded in our Wealth OS. So this is a very powerful session today, and we talk about this in depth. So watch the training from the beginning to the end because future sessions rely on you to watch this training. And there will be sessions in the future where we always look back at the Wealth OS. And if you haven't watched the training and did the exercises, you miss out big time, my friend. So watch the training, do the action exercises, do the homework. And if you want to save some time, be my guest, watch it in double speed. So let's have a look what we talk about today. What is Wealth OS? Then we look at the different elements of Wealth OS, and then we look into why it's important that we balance those elements. Wealth OS, so we already covered it's the operational system, and it consists of three equally important parts, which is mindset, the second one is personal finance, and the third part is investing. And at Wealth Builders Bootcamp, this program is designed for you to master all three of them. And our operational system within us has been programmed most likely by other people. Our surroundings were shaping us since we were born, since we were like little kids. And if you grew up in a family where money was like something negative, most likely as an adult, you perceive money as something negative. But if you grow up in a family where it's something positive, you grow up thinking money is something positive. If you grow up in a family who values exercise and fitness, most likely you're pretty fit in your 40s and 50s, and you will exercise the rest of your life. If you grew up in a family where no one was ever exercising, most likely you're having a really hard time going to the gym. So you see, the operational system within us is so powerful, and the tragedy is that most people are unaware that their operational system within them is running their everyday life. And sometimes we find ourselves in a situation where we do or say something, we think, well, why the heck did I just do or say that? It's because of your OS within you. And consciously, you might think, well, that was stupid to say that, but you're running on autopilot most of your day. And we need to change what our autopilot is doing by changing our operational system, by reprogramming that within us. And that's very powerful and something we're going to talk about today. And as I said, the first part is mindset. And mindset is something you will see me talking a lot about in this bootcamp because I know of the power of our mind. And I know it's powerful to focus on it in every single session along the way, even dedicating sessions alone to mindset, or even the whole third week where we focus on mindset, because what is within you will create the world around you. And it would be a shame not taking advantage of that, because it's always a struggle if you try to change your circumstances. It's easier to change yourself within you so you create different circumstances. And that's something very powerful. And our mindset actually is so powerful, it links into all areas of our life, and especially to our personal finance and our investing. So in those three elements, mindset is the first and the strongest of them, but we need to make sure that we grow them all equally, because I'm going to show you later why mindset alone isn't cut it for you. The relationship we have with money tells us a lot about the relationship we have with ourselves. This is super, super powerful. And in those 25 years, I was working with people and working with money and combining both worlds. I was actually witnessing a lot of patterns in different kind of people groups. So there were like the ones who were really, really struggling with finances, living paycheck by paycheck, highly indebted. The interesting part is they all had the same belief system, they all had the same mindset, they all had the same operational system running their everyday decision. One common thing, for example, when I was working in the bank, I got it a lot. People in that kind of situation were paying their bills quite late, because they were opening the envelopes quite late, because they were afraid of opening the envelopes because there could be something negative in the envelope, and they were expecting something negative to be in the envelope. They had to pay money, and they had no money. So it was really tough on them. But on the other side, if you look at the other side of the spectrum, where the people are really wealthy and have a lot of money, they commonly say, well, strip me naked, take everything away. In a year, I will be back. And they prove it because it's within them, and they create the world around them. And it's so crazy how those people on this end of the spectrum, how easy they are sometimes with investing, with money. While on the other side, if money is a scarce resource, and we covered that in last module about the scarcity mindset, people are holding on to that little they have. But over there, it seems like those who have so much, somehow they get even more, and with ease. And it's like as if they do nothing for it. And it's because their mindset is completely different. Their operational system is completely different, through the mindset they have. But mindset is not just how we think and what we think, it's the foundation of how we act, earn, and grow. And we covered it already. It's like the software running in the background of our decisions. If the program is faulty, filled with fear, doubt, and scarcity, everything else becomes harder. But when you upgrade your mindset, and the decision lies with you, to upgrade to abundance, creativity, and courage, you unlock potential to thrive in every area of your life. And it's fantastic because it's not just in your finances, but once you do that step, you see your whole life gets better because you have the same approach on your health, on your relationship, on your spirituality, on your growth. Everything becomes so different once you get that into your life. And let's have two different people, and both are in the same scenario. So let's say two people are watching this training right now. They never did a budget in their life before. They never invested in their life before, quite young. And they're just at the same point. Both grew up a bit differently. So the first person is like, well, I'm not good with money. I can't do it. I'm not good with money. That's like something they really believe. The second person knows he's not good with money, but says, well, I can learn to master money because there's like the learning attitude in that person. Now, the first person will having a really hard time with budgeting if they ever try budgeting, because where's the point? If you suck with money, don't try it. But the second person knows that it will suck in the beginning, but get better along the way. So along the way, it doesn't take long. The second person will have a great budget working for him, and liberating this person into a better life, a life in more freedom. The first person will still think, well, I suck at money, so why bothering doing it? And you see the point? It's super important what we think, and it's super important that we know that we can actually change what we think, because you are not your thoughts. You can decide what thoughts you want to pick and what you want to eradicate. Well, the crazy part is this transformation doesn't take years. One single shift in belief can change our actions today. And 5 minutes and a quiet place can transform your whole life like never before. And I'm going to share a quick story how that happened in my life. So I had the first sip of alcohol when I was 27. And I know what you're thinking. You think, Manu, I call BS. But it's actually true. Because when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, my father was an alcoholic. So today he's free. But at that time, he was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So he was that loving, gentle, beautiful, wonderful man, sacrificing everything for his family. But after 2 or 3 bottles of beer, he was totally different. He had different eyes. He was quite aggressive in his behavior. He didn't hit us, but he was verbally very loud. And he was just like grumpy. And I loved the first person, but I hated the second. And that made me make a promise to myself. I never drink alcohol in my life because I don't want that transformation happening in my life. So you see that negative experience was actually building my perception of alcohol is something very negative. And even if we were going to like parties with friends, and they were drinking, I was like, no, you can't give me $1 million. I don't drink. People actually offered me money to drink, not $1 million, but offered me money, a lot of money for a teenager, but I didn't because I don't want to have this poison in my life. I don't want to go through that transformation. And the crazy part is, in my family, we're just my father, my mother, my sister, and myself in Germany, in south of Germany. All other relatives are in Spain or in Austria. But my wife, she's from the north of Germany. I met her when I was 27, and her family, they all live up there. And they had like all these family come-togethers and gatherings like once a month. And whenever you had like this come-togethers, there was some alcohol, some casual, like a drink here, a drink there. And alcohol was, so the perception of alcohol was softened, and the bridge I had, the connection I had with the negative experience was getting destroyed through the positive experience I had when I was together with the family of my wife. And I started to buy bottles by myself, like whiskey. I loved whiskey, gin, rum. And suddenly I caught myself drinking without the family around. So my wife and I were just like pouring a drink after a hard day of work or to treat myself for the weekend. And we're going through a lot of bottles, I realized at one point. And the thing is that, and that's what I realized when I was drinking, because I hadn't that much of a drunkenness effect on me. So I could drink a lot without feeling anything physically. But the emotional connection, when I was drinking, I was feeling like warm and nice and being in good company, because I was warm and nice and in good company when I was with my family over there, and we had something to drink. So the bridge was built from that family gatherings over to alcohol, and then I built a bridge from alcohol over to, oh yeah, it's a nice feeling. And I was drinking quite a lot at that time. And after a couple of years, I discovered a training from Tony Robbins. And I found it very interesting where he said, yeah, 5 minutes is all you need. And that's the exercise we do afterwards. And you can break free from every habit that's harming you, anything that's self-sabotaging. You can get rid of it in 5 minutes. It's that easy. And I was like, well, okay, let's try it. And so I sat on the couch with my wife. I shared what Tony Robbins was telling in this message, and it was like, okay, let's do it. So he said you need to have a negative outcome that's final attached to your behavior. So I was sitting there, I was thinking, okay, my wife and I, we have friends, so let's visit some friends in that scenario. I had like 2 or 3 drinks because I don't feel as much as other people. I can easily drive home, so I drive home. But actually, the fact I feel something, and in a split second, I'm not actually aware of the situation. There's a car in front of us. There's an accident. I wake up in the hospital. Doctor comes to me, says, "Well, nice for you, but sorry, your wife died." I see myself at the funeral, all the relatives, everyone is in black, the preacher is doing his thing, and I'm just in my thoughts thinking, how stupid of me, drinking those 2, 3 drinks before driving home. Not necessary, not at all. And I attach a lot of emotions to that. I really tried to hold that moment as long as possible. Tears were running down my cheek, and at one point, I just opened my eyes. I was like, okay, I'm done drinking. My wife did something similar, and it had a permanent effect on our lives. It's crazy how we can actually hack our psychology, how we can actually hack our operating system, because my autopilot now is not longer, oh, I'm going for grocery shopping, or there's a bottle of alcohol, I buy it. Now it's like, oh, that poison, I don't touch it anymore. It's crazy what's happening when you treat yourself and your operational system that way. And the crazy part is, it works. And now I want to do a quick exercise with you where I lead you through that. So it's called the runaway principle. And runaway because I think it was in the 50s, 60s, there were some scientists, they tried to figure out how smart rats are. So they put a rat in a maze, had some cheese in front of the maze in the entrance door, and they were stop stopping seeing how fast the rat actually could reach its destination, the cheese. And then they tried it with something else, bacon, grapes, anything they could think of, they put in front of a maze. Always a different maze, so the rat had always a different challenge. And some things were like attracting the rat quite fast, others quite slow. And they thought, well, there needs to be a way that the rat is faster. So they put a curtain behind the maze, no treat in front of the maze, and a snake behind that curtain. They opened the curtain, and the rat was fast, so fast they couldn't even like use the stopwatch. So fast the rat was out of the maze, with a force incredible. And they thought to themselves, well, that proves the point that running away from something harmful is a stronger force within us than running towards something we want. So the push is always harder than the pull. And that's something we want to actually experience in this exercise. So I want you, step one, identify one destructive, self-sabotaging, limiting belief. Try to find the most powerful one. Second step is identify one irreversible, final, negative outcome. Step 3, visualize the scenario. Step 4, feel the pain. Step 5, make a decision, never again. If applicable, step 6, replace the thought with an empowering and feel the different outcome. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're working a job you hate, Monday to Friday evening, you can't wait for the weekend. Once you're at home, you think about Monday, oh, I have to go back to that crappy job. You really hate that job, and it's really eating you up, and you really feel sick because of that job. Now you know, okay, it's really making you sick. So if you keep working that job, in 3, 4, 5 years, you might get a stroke, you die because of a job. Now you're gone. Your family left without you. Your wife sobbing because the job was not well paid, there's no money. And your wife and kids are really struggling now. And you're gone because of a job you hated. And visualize that scenario, feel the pain in that scenario, and then make a decision, never again. I'm gonna love this job or find a new one. Well, that's step number 6. Replace the thought with an empowering one. Okay, you hate the job, okay, but every evening you come home, spend 1 hour finding a new one or building the business you always dreamed of. And you see that after 2, 3, 4 months, something is kicking in with your business, or after 2, 3, 4 weeks, you get an interview invite for another job you love. Suddenly you can't wait, or it's Saturday morning, or hopefully it's Monday soon, I want to work again. There are people out there, they love their jobs that much. And it's crazy when you have that kind of attitude. So you see, this exercise really does something. I want you to do it. Pause the video, identify one destructive thought, and go through this 5, 6 steps. Depends how many you need, but I really want you to do this exercise. Second part, personal finance. It's going to be a bit quicker than the mindset exercise. Clean up the mess is the first thing when it comes to personal finance. I'm a big fan of cleaning up the mess. And I love if people are like overwhelmed with the financial situation, come to me and say, man, what should I do? The first thing we do is clean up the mess. Imagine buying a property. There's an old house on it. There's like a lot of garbage lying around, maybe an old rotten car. You can't build a new mansion on that property. You need to clean it up. You need to get rid of all the rubbish. You need to demolish the house, make everything nice and tidy before you can build something. That's what we're doing when we clean up the mess. This is like structuring all debts, liabilities, costs, payments, subscriptions, as well as income and assets. So put everything on one sheet. It's like, it's not a full budget. It's like the pre-step before you do a budget. You want to know a snapshot of everything in your life, in your financial life going on. Step 1. Step 2 is getting in control. So once the property is cleared, you can lay the foundation. You're not building the house now, because if you build the house without a solid foundation, or maybe you build a bigger house on the foundation of a smaller house, you have a big problem in the future. So you need to lay the foundation. And this is, when it comes to personal finance, managing your risks, repayment plans, insurance, An emergency fund. This is super powerful. Having an emergency fund. If you don't have one, aim for one with $1,000. It will help you big time and it will give you better sleep. I promise you that one. The third part is build your mansion. When the groundwork is done, when the foundation is laid, now you can build your house. And this is actually what we're doing in the next section when we look at investing. I'm going to go to that slide right now. So let's talk about the third part of the operational system, which is investing. A very powerful thing as well. Start small. And this is I think one of the best advices I can give to you if you start with investing. Start small. If you have little in your hand, start small. If you have a lot in your hand, start small. Because the first 12 months are not to make profits. Yes, you heard right. The first 12 months are to sharpen your skills. You can make profits later anyway, because once you sharpen those skills, you keep them for life. Remember the guys in the beginning, like with the wealthy mindset, where they say, well, strip me naked, take everything away. In 12 months, I'm back. Why are they back? Because they learned the skills. And you want to acquire those skills. This is so powerful. And also set your investment horizon long term. If you have it too short term, if you had like 6 or 12 months, I want to be a millionaire, you always look at the money. You don't look at the skills. But if you say, well, I'll give myself 10 years to be a millionaire, then you have 1 year to focus on growing yourself, of building that skill set, which is super, super powerful. Finding your niche. And I know so many people out there scream diversification. Warren Buffett screams diversification. Your banker might say diversification. Diversification means you have, like, let's say you have $1,000 and you split it in different assets to protect your overall wealth if one asset goes south. Well, if you have $1,000, sorry, it's no wealth. This is like a little bit of money. So diversification is to protect your wealth. If you have, let's say, 10 million, you want to diversify, because if everything is in one investment and the investment is gone, all your money is gone. That's why you need to branch out and try different things. And if one actually has a loser, but the others are winners, you're still like at 9, 10, 12% a year, which is good if you have 10 million. You're still making like 1.2 million a year. That's enough money. But if you want to grow your portfolio, if you want to grow your wealth, you need to specify. You need to drill down on one niche, master that niche, be really good at that niche. And that's what we're covering in week 4 and 5 when we look at markets, investment strategies. There's so much what we're covering over there. Very powerful. Learn skills, already covered that one. Use every opportunity to grow and learn. Confidence and skills will grow, and so will your portfolio. You got all you need within our communities, and I'll teach you literally everything you need in this bootcamp. More than 60 modules. As I said in one of the early trainings, I wish someone would have given me that blueprint 25 years ago. Total different life by now. But this is very, very powerful if you follow this bootcamp, this framework step by step, really making all the difference. Improve, refine strategies along the way to be more profitable and reduce losing investments. This is something we cover in week 4 as well. So once you start investing, it's super important that you on a regular basis reassess your portfolio, your assets, and define which of them are actually winners. So you keep them run, which are losers, you might cut them. And you want to get better in your investing skills. So you have less losers and you have more winners, and your winners are more profitable, and your losers are less losing money. Okay. Wealth OS integrated. So this is the bootcamp, and if you watch the Start Here section, you have seen this before. This is pretty much what I teach you in all those 6 weeks. So week 1, which is what we're currently doing here in the Wealth Builders Clubhouse, is the free training, Foundations of Wealth. You might be watching this on YouTube. Then you want to join our community, because all the resources, all the extra trainings, additional stuff, community, live course, you find on School in our community. So click that link below or join us on school.com/WBC. But I address you here as part of our community. So the first week, Foundations of Wealth, which is super important to have the foundation. Week 2 is mastering financial control. Week 3 is building a wealth mindset. Week 4 is investment foundations. Week 5, exploring financial markets. And week 6 is wealth legacy creation. Now, if we look at the 3 elements we were talking about of our operational system, we cover personal finance in the first 3 weeks. So this is like what we're doing now is part of personal finance as well, because we're building the foundation for that. We really drill deep into personal finance in week 2, as you can see, mastering financial control, which is the budgeting, how to tackle debts, insurance, emergency fund, those kind of stuff we cover over there. Mindset is kind of both personal finance and investing. But you see that from week 4 onwards, 5 and 6 is fully immersing ourselves in investing strategies. Because yes, we need to have a foundation, but if we save our whole lives, we save ourselves poor. We need to let our money work for us, and therefore the investing part is the bigger part, and the most massive part of obviously is mindset, because mindset is something we encounter in every session, every class. Now we're talking about the balancing of all areas and why this is important, why you need to focus on mindset, personal finance, and investing. And I'm going to give you a quick overview and show you what happens if you focus on personal finance and on investing. But you think, well, mindset, all this oopy spooky stuff, I don't care about that. Leave it with Tony Robbins. I can do it. I know the hard stuff about investing, and I know budgeting and that kind of thing. Yeah, that's okay, but you're self-sabotaging yourself. Your limiting beliefs and emotional patterns lead to poor decisions, like selling investments out of fear or feeling unworthy of financial success. Because you always fall back on your mindset. You always fall back on your skills. You always fall back on that what is within you. Because you can't build the world around you without building yourself first. And this is super important. Otherwise, you're self-sabotaging yourself. And you might hit a lucky punch. You made some money with crypto. But if your mindset is not on the right place, you might start selling too early. You get more and more losses. You start holding back. Remember that scarcity mindset is creeping in. So super important, not neglecting mindset. Now, in another scenario, you focus on personal finance and mindset. Well done, but you neglect investing. This is the case where you stay stuck in the rat race. A strong mindset and good money habits aren't enough if money isn't working for you, because your money will always tirelessly work for you if you delegate it to the right place. Your money works harder than you ever can. And without investing, growth is capped by income alone. So you still depend on your job because your money is not fruitful for you. And I know a lot of people who are caught in that trap because they are increasing their lifestyle with their income. So if the paycheck is rising, their lifestyle is rising, their expenses are rising. And I know a couple of people, they earn more than $250,000 a year after tax. They're constantly broke. If they lose their job, the next month, they're gone. Because now they're not just missing the income, they have increased expenses because their lifestyle is in an increased level. So this is super important that we start investing, that we let our money work for us. And the third scenario is we cover investing, we cover mindset, but we have no clue about personal finance. This is mismanaged wealth. Even with the right mindset and good investments, poor financial habits like overspending or lack of budgeting lead to instability and kill wealth before it's built. And this is something, just a scenario. I know a guy, he actually was on that side. He said, well, I don't care about budget. I'm big into investing. I have a good salary. So he went to the bank. He had the mindset and the attitude of, oh, I'm winning this. And now he's fine, but he made this massive mistake. He got like leverage from a bank. So he actually got a loan. He bought this property, but he didn't budget. He didn't take care of his credit card debts. He didn't like have an emergency fund, which would be the solution for his problem. And then at one point, I think it was halfway into the investment. So he bought that house. He was living in that house. And at that time, something came up and he urgently needed 50K. And he didn't have the money because he didn't budget for it. He didn't have an emergency fund. His credit card were maxed out. his mortgage was actually maxed out. And the end of the story was he had to sell the house to cover for the costs. And he had to sell the house for a loss as well. So he's still carrying some of the baggage from that decision. So this is mismanaged wealth. I don't want that to happen to you. So make sure that you're growing all three simultaneously and focus on all three. One wonderful thing you can do right now is wealthbuilders.cc/wealthos-quiz. This is actually the place where you can do a quiz where you reassess or assess which of those three areas is your weakest link. And I want you to do that. I created that quiz just for you, so you can actually assess where you're standing, because then you know what to focus on. Because you're always as weak as your weakest link in this combination between personal finance, investing, and mindset. Your action items for today: do the mindset exercise if you haven't done it yet. Go back in the training. I attached the slides below as well. 5 minutes, some quiet time, do that exercise, and you will thank me later. Take the Wealth OS quiz to identify your weakest link. Again, wealthbuilders.cc/wealthos-quiz. You find the link in the description underneath that training session. Post in the community your results from the Wealth OS quiz and your next step. This is something to keep yourself accountable. We're in a community for a reason. I believe that our community is the true force to build momentum. And I want you to post your results in the community and also what are the action steps you take. There is no right or wrong. There's nothing to be ashamed of. We all are on this journey, and at some point we all lack one or the other. So when I look back in my life, there were times when I was lacking investing, when I was lacking personal finance, when I was lacking mindset. And in the future, I will be lacking mindset, I will be lacking personal finance, I will be lacking investing. So it's like, there's always like, one is always lower than the others, and that quiz is actually helping you to show you to identify them. Join our next live call. If you're watching this on YouTube, join our Wealth Builders Clubhouse for free. As I said, school.com/WBC. Our live calls are super important to put everything together. So if you watch that training, you got any questions, or you want to just be part of our community, our live calls are important for that. We can also use that as an accountability group where we ask questions. So if you're a regular and you join our live course on a regular basis, I might ask you how you're doing with this, how you're doing with that. So it's super important that we stay connected. Otherwise, we lose the grip, we lose the momentum, because you can't win that race alone. This is, even if it's your personal finance journey, if it's your journey to wealth, it's still a team sport, because we need others on this journey. In a summary, quick one: Wealth OS, you know what it is. We covered it. We covered the 3 parts, and we covered why each part is equally important. If you enjoyed the training, I would love to get your feedback. I would love to get your testimony. Wealth Builders CC/testimonial. Please leave a testimony for me. It's not just that I know what I'm doing right and giving me some pat on the shoulder, but also it's helping a lot of people out there if they're hesitant joining our community. When they listen to your testimony or read through your testimony, they might be getting that spark of encouragement to say, well, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna join this amazing tribe. Okay, final quote: financial freedom is not the result of luck. It's the outcome of discipline, strategy, and belief in your own potential. This is something I want to leave you with. Of course, as always, act now, be unstoppable, and I see you in the next training, my friend.